And it's a good Sunday morning on Church of the Total Man, a church for men. Today we're in Proverbs chapter 12. Can't believe it. 3 months of Church of the Total Man. Get your coffee, get a Bible, or just sit back and listen and enjoy the wisdom of the ages on Church of the Total Man. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. When was the last time that you loved discipline? It's something that you're usually taught when you're younger, right? The disciplines. We discipline ourselves to exercise. We discipline ourselves to study. We discipline ourselves to sleep. We discipline ourselves when it comes to eating. We want to eat the right things. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. Loving discipline and loving knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. Conversely, he who loves reproof is smart or wise. Think about it. There's so many things that are opposites here. He who hates reproof is stupid. What happens if you love it? Do you love being corrected? Do you love discipline? What if you were at the gym working out and you were using a weight improperly and someone came up to you and said, no, that's not how you do it. You do it like this, or this is better form. Would you thank them, or would you say, hey, mind your own business? Sometimes it's good to be corrected, right? Because correction and discipline may save us trouble or injury in the future, either physical and or mental or emotional. A good man obtains favor from the Lord, but a man of evil devices he condemns. A good man obtains favor from the Lord. I always thought it was the word favor. I always thought it was interesting how people use that today, to have God's favor. Like you can do what you want to do, live how you want to live, and then all of a sudden start talking about God's favor. I thought that was kind of odd to be able to do that. I think there has to be a certain amount of consistency, which is something that I've struggled with my whole life spiritually. No one is established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous will never be moved. So righteous acts create something that lasts. The root of righteousness will never be moved. Could that be about the decisions that you're making on a daily basis? How about the children that you raise, the family that you create? The root of the righteous will never be moved. An excellent wife is the crown of her husband. Now we're getting hot again. But she who brings shame is like rottenness in his bones. An excellent wife is the crown of her husband. Who wears a crown? Kings. How many times have I said, be the king that God meant you to be? You've heard me say that before. A wife is the crown. What's the difference between a king and a commoner? How can you tell the difference between them? The king is wearing a crown. An excellent wife is the crown of her husband. And the notes say, see Proverbs 31. Remember that? An excellent wife who can find, for her value is far above rubies. And many women have done excellently, my dear, my love, and my wife, but you, my dear, my love, and my wife, have surpassed them all. Ladies that are watching this, which I know there's going to be a few watching this, is it possible that you can aspire to be the crown of your husband? All of a sudden we go into a different territory when we talk like that. To help identify him as a king. You are the crown. That's what it's saying that ladies are. They're the crown. The wife is the crown of her husband. She is what distinguishes him from a common man. Is it also implied that she might be a queen? Good morning, my king. Good morning, my queen. When was the last time you did that? I jokingly said that a few weeks ago, where I said to ladies, treat your man like the king that he is. Say to him, have a good day, my king. And I said that kind of tongue in cheek. But I also said, who is the counterpart to a king? The female counterpart. It's a queen. When you crown your husband, you are not just his lowly servant. An excellent wife is a crown to her husband. She's part of his greatness. She's part of his ruling. She's part of his wisdom. And there's a lot of exhortations about that in the future in the book of Proverbs. But she who brings shame is like rottenness in his bones. That's a tough one, isn't it? There's the excellent wife and there's the shameful wife. Wow. The thoughts of the righteous are just. The counsels of the wicked are deceitful. Interesting. Thoughts and counsel. Counsel, the way we counsel people comes from our thoughts. The thoughts of the righteous are just. The counsels of the wicked are deceitful. Proper counsel, proper guidance starts here in the head. The thoughts of the righteous are just. The words of the wicked lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright delivers them. Thoughts, counsel, words, the mouth of the upright. Do you speak wisdom to your children? Do you speak wisdom to your fellow brothers? Do you speak wisdom to people? Do you look for opportunities to share wisdom? The wicked are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous will stand. Again, talking about, I'm just seeing legacy here, things that will stand, things that will be, here we go, the root of the righteous. The house of the righteous will stand. So there's things that are immovable, things that will last. The house of the righteous will stand. A man is commended according to his good sense, but one of twisted mind is despised. We've seen that so many times when it comes to the men's community in general, on YouTube and on various platforms, on social media. A man is commended according to his good sense. Some people just seem wiser than others. And then yet social media also seems like at times it can be a gathering of fools. But one of twisted mind is despised. I wonder what twisted mind means. Here it says, the phrase suggests an inability to think straight, more muddled than evil. Wow. Can't think straight, and it's even worse than evil. Twisted mind. You know anyone with a twisted mind? Better to be lowly and have a servant than to play the great man and lack bread. Better to be lowly and have a servant. Some interesting juxtapositions here. A lowly person who has a servant. It's better to be that than to be a great man and lack bread. Whoever is righteous has regard for the life of his beast, but the mercy of the wicked is cruel. Whoever is righteous has regard for the life of his beast. Who is the beast? Your horse, your mule, the thing that helps you work, get to work. The animals that you deal with. Whoever is righteous has regard for the life of his beast. Think about this. There was no cars, obviously, when this was written. A man's value was, many times, it was agricultural. So you took care of your animals. Having regard for the life of your beast. But the mercy of the wicked is cruel. Remember that movie, The Horse Whisperer? Remember that? Did you ever notice that when you were more gentle with an animal, that you kind of have like a little in with it? There's times, and I love cats and dogs and everything. I love all the animals. They all make their way here to this yard somehow, some way, between the deer and the foxes and the skunks and the raccoons and the possums. They're all here. But with the outdoor cat that showed up here about not quite a year ago, he comes up to this wall outside that comes up to about just below my chest. And he sits there, and I go down and I put my forehead on his head. And I go, "Good morning. How's Daddy's little boy doing today?" And I talk just like that. And he listens. This is not like something where I'm talking to him from a distance. My head is touching his head, and he sits real quiet. And he just likes to hear my voice. I have regard for him. I ask all my pets if they had a good night's sleep. A little excessive, right? I don't think it's talking about pets here. It's talking about the function of the animals in your life. Do you take care of them? Do you feed them? Having regard for the life of his beast. The note says God takes account of our treatment of animals. This is consistent with concern for the full right order of things in the world. Man over animals. God takes account for our treatment of animals. You wouldn't think that, would you? Somebody once gave me a compliment and said something to the effect of how they admired how I work with animals. And they extrapolated, they took my treatment of animals and made the leap and said, "You are compassionate with people. This is why you are good with people, because you are good with animals." And that was an admirable thing in their eyes. No one ever said that to me before, and I thought that was interesting. Whoever works his land will have plenty of bread. Yes. But he who follows worthless pursuits lacks sense. Wow, even in the internet age, think about it. Are we now Internet 3.0? Whoever works his land will have plenty of bread. You got to work it. Send out your emails, post your videos, edit your audio, working your part-time gig, your little side hustle. But he who follows worthless pursuits lacks sense. What is a worthless pursuit? Think about the word worthless. Worth means money, right? The moneyless pursuits lack sense. Do you get involved in schemes of how to make money? Who hasn't, right? Thinking you're going to make a lot of money doing this or this. And you get carried away with your false hopes. But working the land will have plenty of bread. You might not always have the job that you want, but you can get work. Let's get real about this. You can get work. And if you work, you will have bread. You will have something to eat. You'll have a roof over your head if you work. Many times you have to be humbled, though. How many times have we taken jobs or tasks where it's below us or it's not our preference? Somebody like me might tongue-in-cheek say, you do what you got to do. Whoever works his land will have plenty of bread. Whoever is wicked covets the spoil of evildoers. Like, do you want what evil people have? When I when I look at the men's community and what's touted about as being successful, do I want that? Do I want a line of scantily clad women next to my Ferrari or Lamborghini and rented private jet? I do not want to covet what unrighteous people have. But the root of the righteous bears fruit. Again, we're going back to the root of the righteous bearing fruit. We're seeing opposites here. Whoever is wicked covets the spoil of evildoers, but the root of the righteous bears fruit. The spoil of evildoers, the women, the cars, the private jets, doesn't bear fruit, doesn't have a future. Now we're starting to talk about the future a little bit, aren't we? An evil man is ensnared by the transgression of his lips, but the righteous escapes from trouble. How many times have you gotten into trouble with your words, with what you said? Either literally, now there was no such thing as being online back then, but can that be something that we look at today? An evil man is ensnared by the transgression of his lips. In other words, by his communication, what he says. Most of our communication now is not done face to face. It's done online. It's done through email. It's done through social media. People just throw up everything that they think on social media. A man is ensnared by the transgression of his lips, but the righteous escapes from trouble. From the fruit of his mouth, a man is satisfied with good, and the work of a man's hand comes back to him. Do you have the kind of friend that says, it'll come back to you? Don't worry, it'll come back to you. Like when you do good things, it'll come back to you. I think I talked about how, like when I come to an intersection of 4 stop signs, and then you're like, and there's people at the different points of the intersection, and you kind of all got there, you arrived at the same time, but there might be someone who thinks, oh, I got there first. And then they think they have the right of way and they go, but so did the person across from them, or to their right, or to their left. One of the things I do is I just defer to people. If I come to an intersection, I give a break. I'm the guy going, go ahead, go ahead. Comes back to you. The fruit of his mouth, from the fruit of his mouth, a man is satisfied with the good, and the work of a man's hand comes back to him. Everything comes back to you. Everything. There's nothing that is done that doesn't have some kind of consequence. Nothing. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice. Now that's interesting. Again, some opposites. Fools don't listen to advice. Wise people do. A wise man listens to advice. Who does he listen to advice from? Other wise men. So there's an exchange. It's not just you doing what everyone else says. There's an exchange there. There's a time when you might be giving advice to somebody, and they have to listen. I am part of a mastermind group. When you go to the mastermind group of 12 people, you stand up and you tell your problem in business that you need a solution for. What happens then? You talk about the problem, and then at that point, it's your turn to close your mouth and listen to what the other 12 people say. Not reacting to them, not responding to them. They just talk, and you just listen. And make sure that your pen is moving as fast as they're talking. A wise man listens to advice. The answer is out there for your goals, whether it be fitness goals, family goals, financial goals. It's out there. I don't think that there were a lot of people at this time in history that were being paid for advice like there are now. Coaches, financial advisors. A wise man listens to advice. The vexation of a fool is known at once. Fools kind of reveal themselves pretty quickly, don't they? The note says self-control is characteristic of the wise. The fool reacts too strongly and too soon, destroying relationships. The wise person leaves the way open for reconciliation. That right there, that's a whole study in itself, isn't it? Communication styles. You've heard it said you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and that means you need to listen twice as much as you talk. I don't think that's necessarily the reason why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, but it is kind of interesting, that statement, isn't it? But the prudent ignores an insult. Anyone ever insult you? Ignore it. Who does that? We talk about the haters, right? The word haters, that never existed before. Haters. Haters gonna hate. Ignore it. Ignore it. Sometimes you can add fuel to the fire and make things worse by responding to what people say. The prudent ignores an insult. What is prudence? Remember, that's one of the 7 godly virtues. A virtuous man will ignore an insult. You don't want to feed it. Whoever speaks the truth gives honest evidence, but a false witness utters deceit. Many of you brothers have been in court before, haven't you? For divorce, custody, things like that. And I know in America, I don't know how it is in other countries, but in America, you put your left hand on a Bible and you raise your right hand and you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. How did that work out for you? Probably not real well, because the truth does not prevail in America's modern court system. You know that. I know that. It's one of the reasons why I am your advocate, because I know that. There is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts. Yeah, man, words can hurt. But the tongue of the wise brings healing. There is one whose rash words, the unwise, the fool, the words cause damage. We're getting into communication styles here. But the tongue of the wise brings healing. So you can hurt people with your words, or you can heal people with your words. Not a lot of neutral words out there. Truthful lips endure forever. But a lying tongue is but for a moment. We're talking a lot about the future here. We're talking about communication styles. The words that you say, will the words that you say last forever? Will they heal forever, or will they damage forever? How many of us remember the unencouraging words of someone? You'll never make it. You're always making the wrong choices. What are you up to again? Oh boy, here we go again. We remember other people's cynicism, and we cling to people who say things like, "You got this. If I can help you, just let me know. Hey, that's a great idea. I think you're onto something there." Truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but those who plan peace have joy. That can be applied in business. That can be applied in a relationship or in a marriage. Deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but those who plan peace have joy. No ill befalls the righteous, but the wicked are filled with trouble. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who act faithfully are his delight. Proverbs 12 is talking a lot about communication. A prudent man conceals knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaims folly. The hand of the diligent will rule, while the slothful, the lazy, will be put to forced labor. Wasn't there a meme several years ago that said, be good to nerds because one day you're going to be working for them? Right? The hand of the diligent will rule. The people that stayed in and studied, the people that were disciplined, guess what? They will rule over you. Anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. Anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down. I love this note. It says, the ministry of encouragement is more than a superficial word, but the spoken word is still an important aspect of caring for one another. God acts towards us with deeds interpreted by his word. The ministry of encouragement. Does that sound familiar to you? Where did you hear, you are not depressed, you are discouraged? And the answer is encouragement. Do you have a ministry? Did you ever think about being in ministry of any type? Maybe not pastoral ministry, but think about this. Even if you encourage people, that is a ministry. That's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Can you imagine right now, you are an encourager. Right now, make the decision that this week is going to be a week of you encouraging people, complimenting people. If you were ever in the audience anywhere where I have spoken, you know that before an event, before the microphones are turned on, I'm wandering around, greeting people, shaking hands, encouraging people. And one of the social skills of a skilled communicator is encouragement and finding compliments. I will walk up to people, introduce myself, and I always pick out one thing. I like your tie. Nice sport coat. That is a great haircut. Where did you get that? I like how you groomed your beard. One who is righteous is a guide to his neighbor, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. One who is righteous. Righteous people guide others, help people. Whoever is slothful, lazy, slothful is not a word we use much today, is it? Just means lazy. Will not roast his game, but the diligent man will get precious wealth. The lazy man ain't cooking anything, but the diligent man will get precious wealth. What was wealth back in this day? Think about it, 3,000 years ago. What was wealth? If you ate every day and you had food store, you were considered wealthy. If you're watching this, you would be considered wealthy compared to the people of this day. You will not even have food if you're lazy. But the diligent man who plans will get precious wealth. What is wealth? Your health, your food, your position in the community, whether it be a virtual community or a face-to-face community of people. I heard this week, health is wealth. What was the other line? Your network is your net worth. You're only as valuable as the people that you associate with. This is one of the reasons why I go to a mastermind group. I listen to other people, and I advise other people. And that's part of my net worth, is my connections. And the path of the righteousness is life, and in its pathway there is no death. Are you on a righteous path? Or are you on a death sentence of a path? We want hope, don't we? The path of the righteous is life. Have you ever felt like you lost your way? Continue to do the right thing, because that's where life is. There is life in doing the right thing. We learned a lot about communication today, about when to talk, when not to talk. A component of communication many times is what you don't say and how you don't react. We learned about the excellent wife being a crown to her husband. We learned about telling the truth. We learned about caring for animals. We learned about caring for our neighbor. This is worth studying. Next time we will be doing Proverbs chapter 13. Thank you for coming to Church of the Total Man, a church for men.